So you just bought a Sonos Arc. Well done. Your home theater is now about to sound like an actual theater. But if this is your first soundbar or your first Sonos product, you may have some questions, and that's why we're making this video, to help you get the most out of your brand new soundbar. Hi, I'm Carl from Apt, and this is the Sonos Arc, one of the most popular soundbars, well, of all time. If you're watching this, you likely already own one, or you're shopping for one and you want to know more about it before you make your decision. Either way, thanks for tuning in. First things first, what do you do once you get this thing home? Normally I'd say open it up and to start plugging things in, but in this case I would recommend gathering the family around and letting them know that they all just moved down one spot in your order of favorites. Then, once all the tears have dried, the Arc's not waterproof, you can open it up and get back to watching this video, because I'll be going over how to hook it up, what to do if it doesn't connect during setup, how to use the app, how to get the best sound out of it, and I'll be talking about my favorite accessories for it. I'll put some time codes down in the description in case you want to jump to a specific spot. Before I get too far along though, I want to just go over some basics so you know what we're dealing with here. Sonos, if you're not familiar, is a brand that is known for their wireless home audio systems. They offer a variety of speakers and various other audio products, but unlike traditional speakers, Sonos speakers don't require a receiver, just a wireless network and power, and the Arc is currently their flagship soundbar. They have other smaller options like the Beam and the Ray, but the Arc is the best that Sonos offers currently. But it's not the only best soundbar out there. If you're still trying to choose the right one for your home theater, I'd like to talk about how the Arc compares to some of those, but I'm going to do it in under 60 seconds in a segment we like to call Briefly Before You Buy. Ready? Go. The Sonos Arc is a fantastic soundbar, but it's far from your only option. Bose, Sony, Samsung, and Bowers & Wilkins all have models that offer some excellent competition. The Bose Smart Soundbar 900 not only sounds great, but it looks great too with its fancy glass top. The Sony HTA 5000 doesn't look quite as nice as the Bose, but it still sounds as good and can often be found on sale for a good deal. The Bowers & Wilkins Panorama 3 looks good and sounds good, but you can't hook up an external subwoofer and it costs more than all the others. And the Samsung HWQ-800B offers the best pricing, but if you don't have a Samsung TV, you're missing out on being able to use the Q Symphony feature, which is one of the big reasons to get it. These also all share a useful feature that the Arc doesn't get, Bluetooth, which makes it easier for guests to play back music on the speaker, but isn't totally necessary since you're the one that's going to be using the soundbar on a regular basis. And Sonos has a huge advantage in one specific category, the app. The Sonos app is roundly regarded as the best of the best. It's simple to use and consolidates all your streaming services and stored music into one spot, so it's easy to find whatever it is you want to listen to. Now, back to the Arc. When you open the box, you're going to find the speaker itself, a 6-foot power cord, a 4.9-foot HDMI cable, an optical audio adapter, and some paperwork. The first thing to do is put the speaker in the spot where you're going to be listening to it. If it's going on the wall, you'll also need to make sure you have the Arc wall mount handy, which you'll need to purchase separately. Once that's done, plug in the power cord to the back of the speaker and then into the wall. If you're adding your Arc to an existing Sonos system, you're just going to go into the settings menu, tap System, and then Add a Product. The app will walk you through the rest of the process. If this is your first Sonos speaker, you'll have to download the Sonos S2 app. Make sure it's the S2 app though and not the S1. That one is only used for older Sonos products. Then you're going to tap Set up a new system and go through the steps to create your Sonos account and get the speaker connected to the app. Once you're done with the setup, you can connect it to your TV. Most of the time, you're just going to hook this up with the HDMI cable, but if your TV doesn't have an HDMI port with an audio return channel, or you just don't have enough HDMI ports to accommodate it, you'll use that optical adapter. But HDMI is definitely the preferred way to go if possible, since the Arc can play back Dolby Atmos audio, and the only way to do that is through an HDMI cable. For those of you who don't know what Dolby Atmos is, here's a quick explanation. On traditional soundbars, the audio comes straight out at you. Some even have speakers that face off to the sides to provide some surround effects. Atmos is going to add height to the equation, which means you get sound from above too. The Arc does this using a couple speakers that are built into the top of the soundbar, so they're facing upwards. However, to take full advantage of this feature, there are a couple of things to keep in mind. One, your TV has to be able to output Atmos audio, and two, like I mentioned a moment ago, you can only get Atmos if you're connected through an HDMI port on your TV. If you don't know if your TV outputs Atmos, a good way to check is if one of the HDMI ports has the letters EARC on it. If it does, that means it has an enhanced audio return channel. If it's got that, it will more than likely output Atmos audio. If it only says ARC, then it possibly doesn't, but there are some that do, so it's not a perfect science. If you can't tell, the best thing to check is in the owner's manual. If you purchased your TV from Apt, you can also always reach out to us and we can look it up for you. So now we've covered what a smooth setup sounds like, but what do you do if the app doesn't find the Arc during setup? There's a few things you can try. First, check to make sure the LED light is on and flashing green. If that's not the case, you'll want to factory reset it by unplugging the power cord from the wall, then press and hold the join button while plugging the power cord back in until the light starts flashing orange and white. Once it turns green, it's time to try connecting it to your system again. If that light is green and it's just not working, you can try a reboot by unplugging the power cord for 10 seconds, then plug it back in. If neither of those methods work, sometimes moving it a little closer to your router during the setup process can help. Then, once it's set up, you can move it back into place near your TV. You could also try hardwiring it into your network. Now that's a pretty surefire way to get it going, but it's not always a viable option if there's not an easy way to get a network cable to the install spot. Finally, if none of that works, just put it in place, have a seat on the couch, and then convince everyone it's working fine by just shushing them every time they try and tell you that there's no sound coming out of it. Delicious. But assuming the installation went off without a hitch, which is what happens in most cases, there are a lot of things you'll want to explore within the app. If this is your first time using the Sonos app, I'd recommend setting up a few of your favorite streaming services right off the bat. To do that, you're going to go into the Services and Voice menu, which is found by pressing the Settings icon in the bottom right corner. It's the one shaped like a gear. Once you're in there, you'll see a long list of streaming platforms. Some are paid services like Qobuz or Deezer, and some can be used for free like Pandora and Spotify, although they both have paid versions available as well. If you're already subscribed to some of them, all you'll need to do is enter your username and password. If you want to add one that you're not already subscribed to, you'll need to create an account in that particular app first. Once you have those set up, you can move over to the magnifying glass icon, also on the bottom of the screen. This is where you can search for specific music to listen to by artist, song, album, playlist, or any other number of categories. It makes it really easy to find specifically what you want to hear. The middle icon on the bottom is the System tab, and that is to choose your speaker or to create a speaker group if you have several Sonos speakers at home. All you do is click on the speaker you want to listen to, and you're ready to go. If you want to set up a group, you can click the little icon to the right of the speaker name and check off all the speakers you want the music to come out of. You can also do the opposite if you want to break up a group of speakers. The next icon over, the Music note, is for browsing. That's where you can look through your available music services, your network music library, and the music you have stored on the device that you're using, whether that's your phone, tablet, or your computer. But you can't search by individual categories in this menu like you can under the Search tab. Then you have the star icon all the way on the left. This is the My Sonos tab, where you'll find all the songs you've marked as your favorites, your recently played audio, and this is also where you'll find any new announcements from Sonos. Now let's take a look at the Arc-specific page on the app. You'll see an outline of a TV, and underneath that you'll see the name of the speaker. Right under the name, you'll be able to see what kind of audio is being played. So for example, if you're listening to Atmos, it'll say Atmos. If it's Dolby 5.1, it'll say that, just so you know what it is. Under that are two icons, one that looks like a moon and another that looks like a conversation bubble. When these options are turned off, they'll have a light gray circle around them. The moon is for night listening. This brings down the loud sounds and brings up the quiet ones so you can listen without disturbing people. The other one is for voice enhancement. This brings the dialogue out better in case you have a hard time hearing what people are saying on the screen. Both can come in very handy. So that's my rundown on the app. It's super easy to use and gives you good control over the entire system, whether that's just a single speaker or multiple that you have around your home. But I'm guessing you didn't get an Arc to just listen to music. This speaker is an absolute beast when it comes to home theater and should most definitely have movies and shows playing through it. And the best first step to take before you start playing movies, or music for that matter, is to use the built-in TruePlay Tuning feature. But there's a little bit of a catch. It only works with an iPhone or an iPad. If you have one of those, you'll go into the settings menu, then system, then pick the Arc from the list of products. Then you're gonna scroll down to where it says sound and look for the TruePlay option. When you run TruePlay, you're gonna hear a series of sounds that your iPhone or iPad's microphone will use to optimize the soundbar to the room where it's installed. You do need the room to be quiet for this to work though, so if you have kids, you may want to try playing the old who can stay quiet the longest game. You know, the one that they typically lose after about 4 seconds. But if you can get them to stay quiet long enough, you'll be very happy with the results. If you don't have an Apple device to use, don't worry, you still have options. If you have a friend or a family member that has one, you can use theirs, or you can make adjustments to the equalizers and the height audio manually. Now, let's talk about my favorite accessories. As far as sound quality goes, the Arc is terrific, but do you know what makes it sound even better? A subwoofer and surround speakers. The Arc puts out a pretty significant amount of bass, so you may not find that you need a sub right away, but if you can swing it, adding either the mini or the full-sized one takes this to a whole new level. I do highly recommend adding a pair of 1SLs as your rear channels right off the bat though. Adding those creates a more realistic surround sound experience. The process to add them is pretty simple too. First, they'll need to be installed in the same room as the Arc. Then, once you have them set up as their own rooms in the app, you'll go to Settings and then to System. Under System, you'll see Products, and that's where you're going to be able to add them as surround speakers. If you wind up adding the 1SLs, you'll also want to consider getting wall mounts for those too. Sonos makes a shelf mount which not only holds the speaker, but there's also room for you to set your phone down or even hold a drink. Or if you don't need the shelf, I would recommend getting a pair of Flex-on wall mounts. These let you adjust the angle of the speaker for a better home theater experience. And finally, the Arc wall mount. And yes, it's a traditional wall mount in the sense that it holds the Arc on your wall, but it also automatically adjusts the equalizers to tone down the bass so you don't have to. There are plenty more accessories you can check out on our website, app.com, but those are the ones I think are the best to start with. And we're not just a website. Apt is a family-owned business that's been around since 1936. We work with a wide range of experts on just about everything for your home, and my co-host Andrew and I want to share that knowledge with you through this channel. If you have questions on anything you saw in this video or anything that you see on the website, be sure to leave them down in the comments. And if you like the video, make sure to hit the thumbs up button and subscribe so you can stay up to date on all of the great stuff that we talk about here on our channel. But most importantly, be sure you enjoy your new Sonos Arc soundbar. Thanks for watching.